And we're live. I threw that on you. Hello, welcome to the Legends Podcast. I'm Jeremy, and I got Quality Autism with me, Noah.
You always have quality autism with you. But yeah, I'm also here.
Sure. No Dylan. Dylan wouldn't be free till this afternoon. Noah would have been asleep, and I have a bunch of things I have to do today. This is our third live stream in the last hour, basically. My voice is going out, but we needed to do this because Tom Veach passed yesterday morning or the night before. I'm not sure. At the age of 80, Tom Veach was crucial. Oh my God, isn't it now going live?
No, for me it says it's live since 50 seconds.
Okay, it just said it's going live for me. Oh, we gotta love the internet. Anyway, so Tom Veach wrote Dark Empire, which kicked off Dark Horse's reign on Star Wars. He proceeded to write Dark Empire 2, Empire's End, several arcs of Tales of the Jedi, which would be Knights of the Old Republic, Dark Lords of the Sith, and the Freedom Nad Uprising, as well as a short story from Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina.
With his wife, actually, he wrote that short story.
Which one is that? I don't even remember.
A Hunter's Fate, Greedo's Tale.
Oh, okay.
Which kind of got retconned if you consider TCW part of Legends.
But I don't. Ugh. Anyway, so Tom Veach was pretty critical in a lot of ways to the EU. He brought Boba Fett back. He introduced the different. There wasn't just Slave 1. There was Slave 2. And there was a Slave 3 and 4, which I don't think were in his stuff. No, Slave 4 shows up in Young Jedi Knights. When it's not Boba Fett in that.
Yeah. It's his daughter.
Yeah. Which you would never know.
Not from the books themselves, no.
No. Anyway. I'm trying to remember.
What else he created with Dark Empire, you mean? Oh, he created Old Republic lore. You know,
yes.
He created holocrons. He created Anakin Solo.
He did. He brought back the Emperor.
Yeah,
which
which
everyone
is
shits on, but like Disney did it too, but worse.
way worse.
Way worse. He brought. Well, yeah, he basically created the Old Republic. He did a lot of things for Star Wars, and he also changed the way that contracts work in Lucasfilm because of a copyright dispute over Vima Sunrider for KOTOR, and he wasn't going to get paid for it, and he left. We also get to talk about Lightsider a little bit, which was never published. Probably never will be published.
Well, there was one thing he said in an interview years ago, but I don't know so much about it. He basically said he was gonna publish Lightsider in a book he was gonna bring out, but it's not gonna be like a Star Wars story anymore. Like he reworked it into an original thing, but I don't know if that was ever released.
Yes. Yeah. It's interesting to discuss. Lightsider was about Cam Cesalier, which is a character that is underused in the EU, who I thought was really interesting. And it was to explain because he just shows up in Dark Empire 2, and you're like, who is this? And there's like, why is he here?
Yeah.
Because Luke, this is the first time we get Luke really trying to establish a Jedi Order.
Yeah, starting with the second Dark Empire.
Yes.
And I guess Veach he was probably going for like this kind of multimedia style thing where Dark Empire was gonna become this enormous thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like to bridge the gap between the comics, he would bring out this little novella by Dark Horse, probably similar to like what they did with William C. Dietz's Dark Forces trilogy.
Yes. Before Del Rey put it was either Del Rey or I think it was Banta put a cease and assist on that, which is a shame. We could have used at least another 2 more of those.
Yeah.
If not 3. Yeah, it's interesting how much he had an effect on the EU. And in my opinion, he doesn't get enough praise for what he did. Especially with Tales of the Jedi, because Tales of the Jedi has been so out of print for so long that it's really, really hard to get a hold of it anymore. I mean, they're starting to reprint it. I think we get some of it coming out, in a month, maybe 2 months? Is it April we're getting that?
Sometimes
Stream.
this year.
It's like soon. It's either it might be beginning of second quarter. We get that, but it's a shame that he didn't get to write more stuff, that he had that bad experience, because we could have had a very different EU if he had stayed longer. I think.
Yeah, he would have been like right alongside Timothy Zahn.
Which Timothy
I mean,
Zahn did not have a respect for him,
nope.
which is, yeah.
I mean, they really hated each other. Famously.
Yeah, well, Zahn claimed that Dark Empire was not canon.
Yeah, in his Hand of Thrawn duology.
Which is bizarre.
But that's also an interesting topic because we could have gotten a Dark Empire novel, like an adaptation written by Tom Veach, but it fell through. I don't remember why. I think it was just a Bantam going with Zahn and just having different plans there. But I think Veach said he was up for it if they wanted it.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of Star Wars novels that didn't happen because they just didn't do it. I mean, Heart of the Jedi is the prime example of that.
Yeah. We didn't get a Dark Empire novel by Tom Veach, but we did get Children of the Jedi, Planet of Twilight was just more important, apparently.
Crystal Star.
That's a masterpiece. I mean, that's fair.
That's the most important Star Wars book ever written
Absolutely.
since Karen Travis. I'm not going to say what book, just Karen Travis and Troy Denning, the 2 most important authors to ever write Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's Tales of the Jedi was always one of my favorites growing up because I managed to get a hold of the omnibuses right when they first came out, so I read them a lot, all of it, and it's a great story. I didn't get to read Dark Empire until I was an adult. I found a hardcover copy of it, and I like Dark Empire. It's different, and it makes sense why it's different. I mean, it's basically Mark Hamill's ideas for Return of the Jedi that George Lucas said no to, adapted to be in the future.
Yeah. Which famously, this is one of the stories George Lucas apparently really enjoyed. Like, there's the story that he enjoyed it so much, he gave like copies of the comic to some of his like people on Christmas. And I
Really?
mean, he also had an influence on the story because Tom Veitch's original idea was gonna bring in some random guy, an imposter, pretending to be Darth Vader. But then
Hmm.
George came in and said, "Oh no, bring back the Emperor. I don't want anything Vader related."
Interesting. And then we do have a dark Jedi that Luke duels with in the second one. One of the
Oh yeah,
Inquisitors.
Cedric,
Yes.
who looks like a 1980s punk rock bitch.
Yeah. There we gotta talk about Cam Salier's art because they go hand in hand. This is like so there are a few Star Wars writing and art teams for comics that are iconic to me. One is of course John Ostrander and Jan DeRusso. Those two just mesh perfectly. But the other one is Tom Veitch and Cam Salier. They just Cam Salier. Cam
Cam
Kennedy.
Kennedy?
Cam Salier's drawn by Cam Kennedy. That's
One is written with a C and the other one with a K.
that is true. And that's when my connection starts working again.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's interesting. They really worked well together. Cam Kennedy had I keep wanting to say Kathleen Kennedy. Too many people, too many similar names in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Cam Kennedy's art is really there's nothing like it. And is the perfect art for Dark Empire.
Absolutely. And I think it's fair to point out his artwork, I think, is just great in general. Very
Mhm.
unique, like you said. And people often criticize Dark Empire specifically for the artwork, not just for the story when they don't
Mhm.
like Palpatine coming back. But I think what they don't like is just the coloring.
Yes.
Because the colors are very, I mean, take a look.
Yes.
Yeah, you get like purple, you get a lot of green
A lot of
and
black.
blue, and yeah,
A lot of black.
yeah, it's just different than the usual stuff.
And I really like in Dark Empire Luke fights a young emperor. Like they have a duel.
Naked.
Oh yeah, he is.
Yeah. You want me to show you the page?
No, I don't. Don't you do it.
I will because oh, there he is. And now imagine Ian McDermott, prequel age Ian McDermott, reenacting this scene with Mark Hamill. I mean, that's what we all wanted. That's what Rise of Skywalker was missing.
You know what I do like in this? Luke's kind of Darth Vader look.
Oh yeah, his armor.
His armor. Also, he chokes Han Solo and picks him up off the ground. Because Luke is a Sith Lord, and that kind of he goes to the dark side.
Kind of, but not really.
Not really, but boy, does he mention it whenever he can. In the EU to follow.
Yeah, that's basically when they have to reference Dark Empire. Just mention that one plot point.
Don't mention like that the Emperor came back,
Yeah, I mean
which
they
is
do
interesting.
occasionally.
It's interesting when you look at the EU as a whole, especially the Bantam era, where you had all these like like from the warlords from the Imperial Remnant. Why didn't they ban to clone Palpatine? Can you imagine with Thrawn and the Emperor alone? And
Yeah, I mean, I think they came up with a reason later on
mhm,
why Thrawn and the Emperor didn't join forces. Because obviously we know the real reason is because the Thrawn Trilogy and Dark Empire was developed independently, and
yes,
Dark Empire was supposed to take place 1 year after Episode 6. And the Thrawn Trilogy was 5 years later, but Timothy Zahn refused to reference Dark Empire because he hated it.
Mhm.
So they had to, switch places.
Yeah. Interesting. It's I always thought, because it always seemed like the Emperor didn't like Thrawn, and that's why Thrawn was put in the unknown region,
Mhm.
and that he was just the Grand Admiral waiting out there. That he wouldn't have worked with Thrawn.
But that's an interesting thing with the Thrawn Trilogy. Like, imagine when it came out in the 1990s. It was 91, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so 91, you got Heir to the Empire, the first book of the
Mhm.
Thrawn Trilogy, the big new adventure. And then you also got the first issue of Dark Empire, which takes place after the entire Thrawn Trilogy. And I think in the prologue, it already said, oh yeah, Thrawn died. Like, if you read this in publication order, you would have already gotten everything spoiled.
Yeah, I don't know if they even reference Thrawn.
They don't mention Thrawn. They mention Jason and Jaina because this was so late in production when Timothy Zahn refused, like with the timeline placement. Tom Veitch and Cam Kennedy, they couldn't change anything. The
Uh-huh.
only thing they could do was like throw in a mention of Jason and Jaina, but like they couldn't do anything about the artwork. Everything was already done.
Because they're not referred to as Jason and Jaina.
No, there's one mention where Leia kind of implies that she's pregnant, and Han is like, "What are you talking about? The children are on New Alderaan or whatever."
Yes. And we get Empire's End is a shame. It's because it's 2 issues. It is the most rushed story ever. So the Emperor tries to possess freaking Anakin Solo as a baby.
Yep,
Remember when Han shoots the Emperor?
in the back,
Yeah.
epic moment.
It's one of the funnier moments in Star Wars.
Yeah,
That
and
might
then
be in
we
the top 5 funniest moments.
unintentionally funny. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because it
Oh,
causes more issues.
mhm.
But Han's
But
so
then
proud of himself.
we also get the best character in all of Star Wars. The God Emperor of the Universe, Empatageios Brand, the famous Jedi who's like a cyborg, this ball shaped.
Oh, yeah. Who is never brought up in anything again.
He shows up in Union, which is like over a decade after his death. You can see him in the background at Luke and Mara's wedding.
What?
Yes, that's the thing. I guess the artist didn't know.
I mean, Union's garbage. It's the worst thing Stackpole's ever written.
It's also terribly drawn because Cam Solisar is Bruce Willis, and we get some more cameos by like Bruce Campbell and Tommy Lee Jones
Yeah.
and Christopher Walken. Like,
I just remember Corrin's in a lot of it, but doesn't do anything.
yeah, right. He has like a sparring match with some other Jedi, but that's it.
But I don't even remember that. I remember Luke's bachelor party. Corrin's there.
Yeah, and maybe Kyle Katarn. I couldn't tell because the
I don't
artwork is bad.
think Kyle's there. Corrin's there because that's Michael Stackpole's character.
Obviously.
And I hate that. He's an overrated character. Ugh. Anyway, wow.
Wait, Scott Johnson in the comments brings up a good point. Empire's End. And that was written after the falling out between
Mhm.
Veach and Lucasfilm, which happened because of Lightsider, basically. Maybe I don't know. There was different talks about like Veach being hard to work with because
It
he
had
obviously
to.
had his vision.
The way I've heard it is it had to do with they were going to put Vima Sunrider in the Knights of the Old Republic video game and not pay Tom Veach for it. And Tom Veach said, "You can't do that." And they're like, "Yes, we can. It doesn't say anywhere in your contract that you get paid for us putting your characters in video games," which is why contracts changed at Lucasfilm. And he said, "No, I'm not working with you guys anymore." Basically,
But that was
but
like years later with KOTOR. When was Empire's
Co-
End? Was it 95?
no, it was later than that. I think. Well, they were in development for KOTOR for a while. I don't know. Honestly, there's so many things, and we will probably we will never know. This is a shame.
Yeah. But obviously there was a lot of problems behind the scenes.
Hmm.
And I think really part of it was Veach's vision for Star Wars and what he wanted with like Dark Empire and stuff. And I mean, Dark Empire almost wasn't even like really canon. Not until like Kevin J. Anderson came in and wrote his Jedi Academy trilogy.
Yeah, but also Tales of the Jedi.
Oh
Tales
yeah.
of the Jedi references to Dark Empire and also references to Jedi Academy,
Hmm.
which yeah. Thankfully Kevin J. Anderson was there in his
Yeah.
book where Kip has to babysit the twins for an entire chapter.
When they get lost in the space zoo, or Lando going to the blubber races. Lots of memorable stuff.
You really hate Jedi Academy.
Oh yeah, I do. But I
I
mean, I
kind of
give
love.
I give Kevin some points. He respected Tom Veach,
Yeah, he
which not a
respected.
lot of authors did.
He respected Kevin J. Anderson respects a lot of authors. That's why he unfortunately let a bunch of leeway in so that you could have your own Jedi be part of Luke's Jedi Academy during the Jedi Academy trilogy, which has a lot of issues.
I mean, we could have had Ken, but he never showed up. If Filoni was around during this time, he would have put in Ahsoka. She was always in the background,
Yeah,
which he's doing right now in
I
the Disney
hate
canon.
that. Oh god, can we talk about Book of Boba Fett? Can we segue into that?
Okay, sure.
Because I watched the whole thing. It was so embarrassingly bad. It was so bad that it turned into the Mandalorian Season 2.5, which was not good either, but Mandalorian fans just jerked off all over it. Baby Yoda was in it and chose to be with the Mandalorian and not with Luke. Spoilers, but that happened.
Yeah, I have only seen the famous pictures of all the stuff, how it looks, how we
It's
have like cosplay Ahsoka and deep fake Luke.
no. Do you know what the worst of it was? So Black Kristan, the uh bad guy Wookiee from the new Marvel comics, was in it, and he fights Boba Fett while Boba Fett's like in his underwear, like pulls him out of a bacta tank and beats him up. And have you seen the stuff with the modding gang where they
Oh,
like
those bikers.
yeah, with the
Oh,
slowest speeder chase of all time because we have mopeds in Star Wars,
yeah, the design is really something else. It's
and
straight out of Power Rangers.
they go so slow. It's the slowest chase I've ever seen it on film. It's so bad. But anyway, so they're fighting Black Kristan. Black Kristan's beating them up, and they're all humans, by the way. And a Wookiee could easily beat them to death. Just punch them in the sternum, and their sternum would crack. Like Wookiees are strong. And these two Gaborian guards come out in like weird toga things, not toga things, but loincloths, and they start fighting. And because it's so ridiculous, because there's a bunch of people in weird alien costumes fighting each other, they put it in slow mo to, I guess, make the hits look heavier than they are. And they roll down the stairs. It is just the funniest fucking thing.
Isn't there also like a scene where Boba stands in front of like the Rancor? Because I have
Yes,
seen that picture and it
he
looks like it.
rides the Rancor
Oh my god! Because I
like
only
in
saw the
Force
pic.
Unleashed.
Because I saw the picture where he's standing in front of it, and it looked like a cutscene from Jedi Knight Dark Forces 2.
Yes.
Yeah, just from looking at the pictures, because I haven't seen the show, it looks extremely low budget. It looks like a fan film on YouTube.
So Mandalorian Season 2, so Mandalorian was low budget, but they knew how to work the budget most of the time, so it wasn't terrible. Mandalorian Season 2 looks really cheap, but no one will talk about that because everyone likes Mandalorian. And Mandalorian Season 2 is garbage. But literally, this is just so cheap. I guess Boba Fett lived with the Tuscans for 5 years and became a Tuscan.
Oh yeah, I saw the end fight between him and Cad Bane, who is
Which
like
Cad Bane's
90
allegedly
years old.
still alive because Filoni will never let his characters die.
And Cad Bane got stabbed by Boba.
In the chest. It's just like, yeah, it was horrible. The Mandalorian can't use the dark saber. He cuts himself with it on accident. Oh, he's not a Mandalorian anymore because he took his helmet off.
So now he's just man.
He has to go. Oh God, this is so dumb. So he has to go to some part of Mandalore, which Mandalore we find out it just doesn't really exist anymore because the Empire bombed it and killed everyone.
Wait, how does it look like? Because that was already like a topic with TCW and the expanded universe, because it looks so different. How does it look like now?
It's a barren wasteland.
Is it a desert?
They the last thing you see of Mandalore is at the flashback, and those the droids, the K2SO droids from Rogue One are just walking around like in Terminator. They rip off Terminator and they're just shooting everyone that's like crawling around on the ground. So it looks like Skynet took over.
Oh no, it's IG-88. Remember the story from Tales of the Bounty Hunters?
Yes.
IG-88 taking over. Oh no, it really happened.
Yeah. So they destroyed Mandalore because Bo-Katan is literally the dumbest character ever. And because Bo-Katan, first of all, what was her name? The girl with the pink hair in Rebels. Sabine stole the dark saber from Darth Maul. Because Darth Maul still had the dark saber. For some reason, he had the dark saber still in Rebels. She stole it from him and then gave it to Bo-Katan so that she could lead the Mandalorian people. But because Bo-Katan never won it in combat, it was not hers to wield, so that's why Mandalore fell, according to the Mandalorians' weird cult of Mandalorians. Because for some reason, a lightsaber, which is not a Mandalorian weapon, dictates who rules Mandalore.
Wasn't it like a thing in like Old Republic era where it was like this mask instead, which makes sense because that's like a cultural artifact?
Yes.
I don't remember TCW too well. Isn't the Darksaber just something the Death Watch stole? Or at least some Mandalorian stole out of the Jedi Temple?
That is what they say in TCW. It is retconned in Rebels that it was the first Mandalorian Jedi.
No way.
Yeah, Dave Filoni contradicts himself.
You're telling me Dave Filoni, the great Dave Filoni, would retcon a story? His own, even? Jeremy, you just don't make any sense. This just can't be true. We are talking about Dave Filoni, the man who created Star Wars. He created The Last Airbender. He is the son that George Lucas always wanted. He is George Lucas' apprentice. And he's in charge now. You telling me he retconned something just because he felt like it?
Yeah. But the thing is, the Mandalorian still has the dark saber. Like, he's allowed to leave with it. even though he's technically not a Mandalorian anymore. Which leads to the biggest plot hole in that whole series, which is he is Mandalore now. By that logic, he is Mandalore.
The Mandalorian guy.
Yes. He is Mandalore because he has the dark saber.
Hmm.
And he uses the dark saber a lot, even though he can barely use it. He is Mandalore, and he could lead the Mandalorian people. So why is the armorer telling him that he's not a Mandalorian anymore? Because Maul was Mandalore, technically in TCW. We're going by that logic. Because he kills
So
Vizsla and takes the Darksaber.
Maul wasn't just a Dathomirian Zabrak, he was also Mandalorian at some point.
Yeah, because he helps Death Watch take the throne of Mandalore.
Yeah,
So
I
that way he
vaguely
can
remember
kill
it.
Obi-Wan's girlfriend of the week in front of Obi-Wan.
Oh yeah, that was a funny scene.
Yeah. And then the Emperor can come and duel both Savage and Maul.
And he has two
Even though
lightsabers.
What's that?
And he has two lightsabers.
Yes, because he loses one lightsaber in Revenge of the Sith, and he has another one to fight Yoda. So he has two lightsabers. I mean, and to be fair, in Darth Plagueis, I think they established that he has two lightsabers. And they're hidden throughout his office.
Hmm.
Even though he hates dueling. He thinks it's beneath him.
Well,
he duels Maul and Savage Opress.
Oh, Savage Opress, the best character.
Yeah, Katie
best
Lucas's
name.
character she came up with. Yeah. Who's I didn't realize this. He's voiced by Clancy Brown.
Hmm.
The Kurgan from Highlander. And Mr. Krabs. And from the greatest sequel to a Stephen King book that was never a sequel, Pet Sematary 2.
Oh, that classic.
Yeah.
Oh, Scott Johnson brings up a point. I think I remember this. I like how all the Deathwatch people have horns, like Maul, after Maul becomes, the guy in charge.
Yeah, yeah. Was that a thing before the last season of Clone Wars? I don't remember it being a thing.
I only remember seeing it in the Son of Dathomir comic from Dark Horse.
Oh, yeah. But it's a thing, and see, because that's the only thing Filoni keeps. Like, he actually doesn't mess with that comic at all.
Hmm.
Like,
I mean, it was based on like a script. Same with the Dark Disciple novel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They don't talk about Dark Disciple at all in the last season of Clone Wars. Like, it's never brought up. Which is fine. They mess with the Ahsoka YA novel though.
Oh yeah, I've heard about this.
They changed a bunch of things.
But it's okay because Dave Filoni is our Lord and Savior.
Yeah, and Ahsoka is the new Crook.
I mean, to be fair, she's worse. She's way worse because she's actually helping Luke rebuilding the Jedi and failing to do so.
Yeah, well, she doesn't care. She wants to find Ezra and Thrawn for some reason.
So we get our big live action, low budget Thrawn Trilogy movie show, whatever.
It's supposed to be a mini series, but we all know Dave Filoni will make it a series.
Yeah.
That's
With
just,
like a Thrawn, some actor in like shitty body paint, like Ahsoka, where it looks terrible.
It looks bad. Also, why are her head tails so short?
Because it's easier for the actress to move.
Fair enough. She barely moved around in Mandalore. No, she did actually. In that episode where she talks to Grogu.
Goku?
Like, that's the baby Yoda. His name's Grogu.
Isn't that like a Dragon Ball thing or whatever?
That's Goku.
Okay.
I know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know why people like this shit. But yeah, it was terrible. I'm so glad that we now have mopeds. We have space mopeds. We jerked off the Phantom Menace for an episode.
Really? How?
Oh,
Oh, did they
so
bring in pod racing?
no. What they did was Mandalorian's new ship is a Naboo starfighter, like a souped-up Naboo starfighter. Which why would they have one on Tatooine? I don't know. And he flies it through the Boonta Eve.
Oh. Wait,
And
I think I've seen a picture of this. Doesn't he put like the baby Yoda in like this thing for the astromech droid?
yeah, because he hates droids. Because he was orphaned in the Clone Wars. His parents were killed by droids. But BD1 from what was that terrible game with Cal Kestis? Jedi
Jedi
Fallen
Fallen
Order.
Order.
BD1's there. For some reason, he's on Tatooine working on the ship. Which leads me to believe that they killed Cal Kestis, which I'm fine with.
I mean, we
Mister,
know.
I'm gonna roll around on the ground and maybe hit something once every 5 minutes. If you like rolling around on the ground, play Jedi Fallen Order. That's all you do is just roll, duck and roll.
Does he spin?
No,
Because
that'd be a
that's a
good
good
trick,
trick.
though. But yeah,
We
Book of
should.
Boba Fett's awful. I doubt it will get a second season because I think the guy who plays Boba Fett doesn't want to ever do anything with Star Wars again.
Oh yeah, Temuera Morrison.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Didn't he say like, "Oh, Boba is terribly written in the show because he talks way too much"?
Yes.
Which the only scene I have watched is the fight between him and Cad Bane, and both of them they don't shut up.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god, they do this cliche thing where it's like Boba's on the ground, Cad Bane is pointing a gun at him, and he doesn't shut the fuck up.
Uh-huh.
And for a character so inspired by like westerns and looking like fucking Lee Van Cleef in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, they forgot Tuku's number one, rule: if you have to shoot, don't talk.
Yeah. It's so dumb. Cad Bane looked bad, but honestly, he didn't look as bad as. So people, there's a new meme going around when people are defending Book of Boba Fett, and they'll be like, "Oh, so you didn't like how you want Cad Bane to look like he does on Clone Wars, but look what Palpatine looks like. Look what Dooku looks like." Like, because they're all caricatures because they're a terrible animated show.
With like stolen animation, because that's Tartakovsky's style. That works in 2D but not in 3D.
Yeah. So we're just saying that Clone Wars is one of the worst shows ever made. Rebels is pretty bad, and Book of Boba Fett is just the worst. Thank you for mopeds in Star Wars. Slow mopeds. Everything is slow.
And these 1950s biker gang with like this jacket on.
There's the one guy, he just spins and shoots things. And he has a weird like robot eye, like the guy in No Time to Die.
Oh, Cyclops.
Yeah.
Yeah, best henchman.
Blew his mind.
Oh man, but yeah, this sounds awesome. I'm glad this show exists instead of like, Dark Empire or these Boba Fett comics or the Bounty Hunter Wars trilogy or anything. Twin Engines of Destruction.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, for all of this, we can thank Tom Veach to go back to him.
Yeah. You wrote so much better than.
Yeah, he wrote so good they ripped him off for Rise of Skywalker, which he talked about this before he died. After the movie came out on his Twitter, he's like, where's my money? That was pretty much his response.
Yeah.
And I think he should have gotten something.
Oh yeah, Small Time Republic also brings something up. So Luke doesn't speak correctly because they used an algorithm of Mark Hamill's voice recorded in the 70s.
Yeah, and you told me about this. You said he sounds like Siri.
Yes, he sounds like a Mark Hamill Siri. It's wrong. There is no acting in it. There's no inflection. It's monotone. It's awful. They didn't even have Mark Hamill stand in for it this time.
Was it just like another actor, but they
It was
put
a stunt person. It wasn't even an actor. And they got the
obviously.
deep fake guys to do it.
Oh, the one they got from like YouTube,
Yes.
who did better work than they
Than they
did,
did
and
on the
yeah.
season finale of Mandalorian.
This is the point where we are at with Star Wars. People are getting excited over deep fake Siri Luke Skywalker showing up.
It's just so bad. And I'm not even reading the High Republic stuff they've been trying to like block things with. Like this like, hey, check out High Republic. It's like, no, I don't care about the High Republic. The only time I even hear about High Republic is when I tune into Tusken Reader, the Geeks Addicts podcast.
Yeah, and Matthew has to talk about it because they keep sending him the books.
He doesn't have to talk about it.
I mean, he feels obligated to do so, but yeah.
He shouldn't. We talked about this all the time. You shouldn't feel obligated to read their schlock.
Read good stuff that you want to read.
Read Dune.
Yeah.
I've been trying to get him to read Dune for like 4 months now.
Quit Star Wars. Read Dune.
Read Dune. Read something that you like. I can't stress this enough to our viewers today. Read things that you like.
How about Dark Empire?
Exactly. Read Dark Empire. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Read
Give
Tales
it
of
a
the
chance, even if you don't. If you read it once and you didn't like it that much, give it another chance. I think this is an underrated story. That's probably like the best sequel to the original trilogy.
Yes.
Visually speaking, I think, especially. Because I don't know, you look at something like Heir to the Empire and it's very good, but not quite as cinematic.
No.
Which, yes, we can compare because I mentioned this before and some asshole was like, "Are you comparing a book to a comic? Of course it's more visual." Heir to the Empire has a comic adaptation.
Which is bad.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've read it once. It's like okay-ish as like an abridged version, but you know.
I mean, my favorite is Last Command. The last page is Thrawn's death, and then it's like 2 panels. And then immediately it's Luke and Mara talking in the conclusion.
That's basically how it is in the book, to be fair.
But like there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
But like the art, the coloring's all wonky. At least in Heir of the Empire, it's pretty wonky. Dark Force Rising's a little better with the coloring. Last Command is the one that I think has the better art of the 3 of them. But the Thrawn trilogy is a world building trilogy.
Oh yeah.
And it references the original trilogy constantly.
Yeah. Whereas Dark Empire, it's more concerned with like the visuals, and people say it's like, oh, it's style over substance. It's all spectacle and no, no meat. But I disagree.
Mm-mm. Well, I mean, Empire Descent's a little wonky, but
Yeah, but that's not really Tom Veitch's fault because it was written after Lucasfilm and Dark Horse told him to fuck off, basically.
yes.
But they had to wrap it up.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't even have Cam Kennedy doing the artwork for that one.
Yeah. Oh, that is true. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think Matt Wilkins talked about this. I think it's because Cam Kennedy wasn't happy about how Tom Veitch got treated.
Mhm.
Because obviously they were friends, and he was like, he just didn't want to do it.
Mhm. Yeah, I see that. Do we
I mean,
want
they
to
did.
segue?
Oh,
Oh,
before we segue, quick about Tom Veitch and Cam Kennedy. Since this is, in his remembrance and stuff,
mhm.
check out his work, The Light and Darkness War.
Yes,
Also by him and Kennedy.
I just ordered it.
Yeah, it's what got them the job for Star Wars.
Noah, I know what you're reading, but I want you to talk about what you're reading right now, Star Wars wise. Because it pains you and it
Yeah.
amuses me.
I'm not reading it anymore because I finished it today. Today I read the last 7 pages of
Okay.
the Darkness Trilogy.
You finished your reread.
Yes, I read this now for the 2nd time. How much swearing is allowed?
Go for it. I don't care.
This is the worst fucking abomination I have ever read. I would rather die of fucking AIDS or cancer than ever touch these books again. They are abysmal, and Troy Denning should be ashamed of himself, and we need to send the FBI after him, just to be sure.
God, it's so
At least
bad.
check his PC at least. Seriously, this. Oh my god. How. You try to somewhat defend it by saying, "Oh, of course I hate it because I don't like Troy Denning," but these books cannot be defended. They are on the same level, if not worse, than Clone Wars Gambit.
Oof. That's a
I'm
tough
going
order.
that far. I know. This is some of the worst written trash ever. Okay. When I read this the first time, immediately after, I also read Legacy of the Force, which I will also have to reread now. But I don't want to read Star Wars again after reading Darkness.
That's how I felt during Stealth and Siege.
Yes, I just want to take a long, long break before returning.
Yeah, read some Dune.
Yeah, read some more Dune. But yeah, oh my god, I cannot take anyone seriously who tells me, "Oh, Darkness is actually a pretty good trilogy." They are
I
pretty
won't
good.
say it's a good trilogy.
You wouldn't?
I wouldn't say it's a good trilogy.
Because it's
I would
not.
say there's some things interesting in there.
Interesting.
And
yeah.
that's the most praise I will give it.
Like all the bug sex and like
Yeah. So much bug sex.
and you complain about Corin Horn, which I get, but Sabah Sabatine is Troy Denning's pet character.
Yes.
Let me list what she does. According to Darkness, she is Mara Jade's best friend now, apparently. Even though they barely interact, she becomes Leia's Jedi Master. Everyone thinks she's so amazing and awesome. Darkness makes a point. She trained like a dozen Jedi before she even met Luke Skywalker. And in Fate of the Jedi, she becomes the Grandmaster for a little while of the entire Jedi Order.
Who was the Grand Master initially that they put in charge?
Ken Femner. But Saba killed him. But it's okay because it was self-defense and good stuff. And Luke forgave her and stuff.
You know who's a big Sabah Sabatine fan?
Is it Matt Wilkins?
Yes. He likes
I know.
Sabah Sabatine.
He
I don't
also
know if
likes
he's one of
Darkness.
his favorites, but he does. He makes a point in Matt's Expanded Universe to talk about Sabah Sabatine quite a bit.
Yeah.
Every author has their favorites.
Yeah, like Zahn with Thrawn, obviously, and Mara Jade, which
Yes.
famously in his book Allegiance, there's this great scene where she meets Darth Vader, and Vader is the little whiny bitch, and they fight, and Mara wins.
Oh,
and in the book, she also tells someone, "Oh, I'm better than Vader."
Yeah. Awful.
Pet characters. Let's not even get started on Karen Travis. We already talked enough about Boba and the Mandalorians.
Yeah, Karen Travis is the epitome of the worst about that. because there's a fine line with having a pet character and just writing fanfic. Like they go hand in hand, and Karen Travis just writes fanfic.
Order 66. Terrible book.
Imperial Commando 501st.
I could barely finish it, and I don't remember anything from it.
It ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
Which is obnoxious because it's the last one.
Oh, but we got it resolved in a Legacy of the Force, in a storyline that doesn't connect to anything.
Barely. A lot of things aren't even explained in that. Like what happened to Altus's Jedi. Do you
Oh
not
yeah,
remember?
but that was just a connection to Children of the Jedi.
But we don't know why Callista is just a fucking spirit in a machine. Like that was going to be explained. I'm almost certain that was at least going to be tackled. Because no prisoners establishes that the whole Altus and Callista are there.
I mean, they appeared in Order 66, I'm pretty sure.
And in 501st.
Right.
They were becoming main characters. And they were going to, yeah.
Apparently, Travis was a big fan of Children of the Jedi. She was probably a Callista Luke shipper.
Probably. Like Matt Wilkins. They're the same person. I knew it. I knew it this whole time. This is the new title.
Matt Wilkins equals Karen Travis. Confirmed.
Sorry, this was a Tom Veitch memorial. Cast. I can't.
And then we talked for Boba Fett about a while, and
yeah, you know, it's a Legends podcast. They have to be an hour, you know.
Yeah, and go off topic for a while.
So yeah, you finished Dark Nest. I finished something really good. I reread Jango Fett Open Seasons. It might be the best comic book ever written.
Oh.
Period. It's one of those less is more sort of things. There's not a lot of dialogue and explanations for things, exposition. There's none of that. It's visual. It's so visual and such a deep story. Have you ever read Open Seasons?
Oh yeah, I've read it once. I remember really liking it, but I think I have to reread it because didn't the art style, wasn't it the same as like in Jedi vs. Sith?
Yes, but it's not over the top like in Jedi.
Oh yeah, I remember it was more fitting.
It's not overly graphic. When Jedi vs. Sith, there's just blood flying everywhere.
And little children getting like the hand blown up.
Yeah.
You know, happy tree friends.
It's happy tree. That's the happy tree friends of Star Wars right there. Did I ever tell you my happy tree friends story?
I don't think so.
Oh God. Okay. So I discovered happy tree friends at school when I was in 5th grade. I was like 11. And one of my friends is like, "Have you ever seen Happy Tree Friends?" And they like looked it up on the school computer during a rainy day. We all watched Happy Tree Friends, and we all got in trouble. Like the entire class got in trouble for looking up just the most vile thing my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. England, had ever seen.
That's great.
She's a really nice lady too. I felt bad. She's a really good teacher. And she was like mortified the children would look at something so vile.
You should have stopped up after like the first, I don't know, 15 seconds. How long does it take in an episode before it gets really violent?
We watched a whole episode of it. It was like a rabbit eating glass or something. I don't know. It's just disgusting. I do not like Happy Tree Friends in general. I think it's just bizarre. But we watched it once at school. And my freaking Scott Johnson's laughing right now. Because this is what happens during the Legends podcast. I tell a story that's not even Star Wars related. We used to play Star Wars Flash games on there on StarWarsShop.com. Like the Jinu Tartakovsky ones. Where you like dual Asajj Ventress and stuff. Or there was one where you would play through like you could outrun like the weird water creatures in Phantom Menace.
A goober fish?
Yeah, the Koopa fish. There's some fun ones on there. But yeah. Anyway. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. So this was supposed to be about Tom Veach. Just quick, again, to end it. Read Dark Empire, the whole trilogy. The first one is the best.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe get this one because I think this epic collection has like these end notes that he wrote for the
original. It has the fan mail.
Yeah, here it is. And I think that was just like world building he did when like each issue came out and it got overwritten by later expanded universe works, but interesting.
Yeah. Also read Tales of the Jedi if you can get your hands on it. It'll be re-released soon, so.
And for an underrated gem, check out Tales from the Mos Eisley Cantina, Hunter's Fate, Greedo's Tale, which he wrote with his wife, Martha Veach.
Very good. So, yeah. Anyway, hope you all have a good day. I am podcasted out. We just did 3 of these in a row.
Yep. Well, we had the time.
We did have the time. And I am exhausted. So, anyway, have a good one, guys.